All right, Patrick, what was your favorite leadership-ism yesterday? Was it culture, collaboration, relationship building, the illusion of complexity, or simplifying the complex?
Now, let me say, in defense of the illusion of complexity, he didn't bring that up. He did not throw that out there. He was asked about it, right? He did not. He did not offer that up.
He was. I think Arif Hassan asked about it, and then he lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yes,
when he
right.
asked about it.
I really wanted to ask him at that point, was that your idea with the illusion of complexity to have Cooper Kupp throw to Matt Stafford rather than the other way around? Was that your idea? And the other one I wanted to ask him about was, but I wasn't going to do it in that scene, was we talked about turnovers and, how they cost you all the game, they cost you games and, how brutal it is. Your guy led the NFL in interceptions and you won the Super Bowl, right? So
yes, that's correct.
Your guy came in here to the Ziggy Dome and threw 3 in the first half, as I recall, and still you won the Super Bowl. Now let me say this about him. I think it's not as hard a sell as Fleck. I don't really think it is. I think it just flows out of him. There's not, he loves his ball and he loves having this job and he loves it all. I don't think he works as hard on the spiel as PJ does. That's just my own observation. That I think PJ is forcing it a little more, is forcing the hard sell a little more than this guy is. I think it just comes flowing out of him. Now, the one thing that made me extremely nervous was when he said he thinks that his bride will be a great head coach.
Head coach's wife, yes.
A great head coach wife, though they have some duties.
Does she wear the headset around the house, too?
So I was reading about her. She's very private. She does not want to be out there, like some, she'll certainly meet with the players' wives and be involved in gift baskets and fundraisers and stuff like that. But she does not want that. That's at least was the story in L.A. that when I saw a story written about him from a few months ago. So, but I don't know. I think it'll be fine. I think he comes off as a guy who can sell what he's selling here, and we'll see if it works or not. I think we all find it interesting that Spielman's gone, but it's still football, and the idea they're telling us of all these great plans they have with Kirk doesn't mean he'll be here when minicamp starts, or I guess maybe if they trade him, it would have to be into June, right, to lower the salary cap hit or something, isn't it? Like
no, they can trade him in March.
Okay, all right. Well,
they can do it.
So, but I really would guess the odds are 70% Cousins is here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But here's the thing. It's so hard to gauge, and I don't expect them to get up there and tell the truth yesterday, Pat. It's so hard to gauge what the intention is because they're certainly not going to step to a mic right now and say, "You're on to us. We're blowing the whole thing up."
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, we were asking them questions.
Crazy, tell them how many guys are going to be gone, Crazy. Yeah, everyone's gone.
We're asking them questions that we know aren't going to get answers,
Right,
so
exactly.
Which is, I guess we've done that our whole, I've been 50-some years. We've been asking questions we know aren't going to get answered, so I guess there's nothing new about that. But here was my favorite part of the whole day, though, later on in the day, discovering we have a quarterback coach, right? And we have an assistant quarterback coach. We now need assistant quarterback coaches, even though the head coach is a quarterback. So we have, and we have an offensive coordinator. Now, as I said on Twitter, you got a head coach who's a quarterback coach, and you got 2 quarterback coaches now. If Kellen Mond is the future, that might not be enough. You might need a couple more to help him with his throwing technique. And
but you always hire the opposite, right? So you go from a guy in Mike Zimmer. It took him 3 years to even meet once a week with Kirk Cousins. Now yes. now you have like an entourage of assistant quarterback coaches following. Right.
Is everybody coming to today's 2 hours with Kirk, or is just 4 of us going to be there? Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was talking to Bud. Bud was great, and Bud liked the guy, and he's you know who else Bud likes? Cousins. You know why? Plays all the games.
Yeah.
There's
absolutely.
There's nothing more important than for Bud than playing all the games. But Buzz was talking to me. Said, I don't know what the hell they do with all these coaches. It would have driven me crazy to have this many coaches and worry about what they were telling people. I wanted to control what the message was. I wanted to. There were 6 of us. That was enough. They told them what I wanted them to tell them. And so this was before I knew we had he says, they got a linebackers coach and then an assistant linebackers coach, which, by the way, Bud makes more sense than having a quarterback coach and an assistant quarterback coach when you also have an offensive coordinator and a head coach who are quarterback-centric. So, anyway, it is incredible, though, that they slapped this. They've been hiring coaches for a week here, and we had no idea they were doing that, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll give you another quote here. Yeah, I think the offensive coordinator is still TBD. They're still interviewing guys, but one of the quotes that because the first 2 of the first 3 questions were about Kirk Cousins. Cronin and Thomason came out swinging, and I'm gonna read you Kevin O'Connell's answer on how he plans to help Kirk if Kirk's still on the team. I know what he's capable of, and part of our job is maximizing. Focus on the things Kirk does well and help him. And then this is the key. Help him connect with the team, lead us, and be a quiet-minded quarterback.
I thought the key phrase there was quiet-minded, didn't you? More than anything, I thought that was not an accidental. That's not something you hear, right? Unless it's.
Unless you've been talking about how
he says he's really that guy's really Tom Brady, really quiet-minded. I've never heard in 20 years I never heard him described as quiet-minded. That to me was the one thing I circled when I was taking notes in there was the idea of being quiet-minded. In other words, when the game's on the line, Matthew Stafford might screw up 20 times during the game, but he's quiet-minded in that last 2-3 minutes of the playoff games, and that's what we need from you, Kirk. That's basically what he was saying.
It kind of it validates what we see just as fans and media. He's a little bit of a teeth clencher. He gets tense. He's got his little helmet on the sidelines, and he's an overthinker and just needs to loosen up a little bit again. But he's gonna be 34 years old. I don't know how much more quiet-minded you can make a guy that's been.
It is hard to we are what we are for most parts. I got an example for you. We are what we are, right? I'm a grandfather who loves to agitate his grandchildren at every opportunity, right? If you could tease them about something, you do. So I actually tweeted this out. The 2 older kids, I think the boy might be 7, Caden, and the Quinn is the girl. She's 4 or 5. And they come over, they're brought over by Tommy West, brought them over with a football and then a miniature football to have Bud sign them. He was trying to tell these kids. So the little girl standing next to me, and I said, I didn't know what her name was, and I said, how do you like the weather in Minnesota so far? as you're from Los Angeles, how do you like the weather in Minnesota so far? And she kind of shivered and said, it is really cold. And I said, cold? This is as warm as it ever gets in Minnesota, young lady. This is it. She looked. She gave me a big look. Yeah, she gave me a big look like, I got to go talk to Dad and see if we can stay in Los Angeles. So, anyway, we are what we are, and but I like it. I think the culture Somebody told me he counted 6 cultures, and I said, "You're a bad counter, buddy." Yeah. There had to be 14, and that's fine. That's everywhere. You can't avoid that word anymore. It's unbelievable how often it is. But the illusion of complexity is certainly. If he'd offered that up without being asked, then I would have probably got a headache. But he was actually asked about it. But he's. I mean, isn't he? The illusion of complexity is don't do what they expect you. Don't do what they think you're going to do when you go into a certain formation, right?
Yeah. I have done the control find here on the transcript. What is your guess? So between Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, some form of the word culture was uttered how many times?
How long? It went on 45 minutes, right? Didn't it go?
Yeah, pressure, yeah.
45 minutes. 28, I guess.
I guess this also could include reporter if it's
okay,
any mention of word culture. Yeah. But it looks like it's all there's 2 mentions of 15? Culture in a reporter questions.
15?
14.
Yes,
14.
That's all. Okay, yeah. That seemed like more. So I doubled it. I guess I doubled it, and then boy, Kwesi might as well as got after he introduced him. He might as well went over and had a cup of coffee because man, this guy's going. This guy is rolling.
Huh? The notes, he had like 4 pages of notes spread out in front of him.
Yeah, yes. That's what impressed our Vikings too when they interviewed him, right? That he had like a 10-page thesis on what he was going to do here. And did you happen to glance over at the Zig Monster?
Yeah,
when this was going on.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
It was the bleep eating grin he had on his face when this guy started rambling and kept throwing accolades to the ownership and the wonderful culture they've created. It was just like when he's shoveling with Dayton there, that picture of him and Dayton shoveling he's got that unbelievable. He was a extremely satisfied man with his choice.
Did you see, though, what O'Connell did? Every time he brought up things that he had told the Wilfs, he looked at the Wilfs as if to solidify, this is what I told you, and this is what we're doing. And Ziggy loves that stuff. He absolutely loves that stuff.
Oh, they did. They were all beaming. The most shocking sight for me the whole day, Randall McDaniel. He's skinny. He couldn't play. What happened to him? He's, I told him you couldn't play today. He said, "Hey, they're all getting smaller offensive linemen." Sure. So it is. You know what's interesting? Randall McDaniel grew up in Arizona. Still lives in this godforsaken frozen wasteland. John Randall grew up in Texas. He still lives in this godforsaken frozen wasteland. What's wrong with you people? Go back home, get warm. What the hell? Yeah, but the Vikings, I don't think it's quite as strong now, but it's been amazing. The one thing this team has had going for it since the 60s really is these guys come to town and they end up living here. It's at a pretty high rate. They're stars anyway, do. I mean, they can probably make a little money off their name, but I don't think that's it. I think they just start raising their kids here and stick around. So
I got 2 more for you here. I'm going through the transcript. So how many times was the word collaborate in some form uttered?
Not as many as culture, I don't think. Maybe 8.
Judd?
8?
Yeah. 8 to 10. Yeah.
10.
10. Okay. So it was a closer contest than I thought. Okay.
Okay, and then I got one more here. The word. So this is a sneaky one. The word connect or connection.
Oh, connection. Yeah, that was.
Remember, one of the big quotes was, "I will not hire a coach that doesn't connect one-on-one and well with players. And then he might as well have, put Mike Zimmer's name in,
yes,
in
right.
bold.
I don't talk about the past, but the former guy.
Yeah. And he said, we're going to have that connection like we never had before. Wasn't there's some phrase in there like that. We never had before. But I think I should be saluted to some degree because when we introduced Adolfo Mensa, what was the big phrase? Intentional decision, right?
Yes.
And they gave me a great column, and I had a lot of fun with intentional decision. Never once yesterday did we get an intentional decision, did we?
I don't think so. Well, let me
go
through here.
No.
Did we get a reference to an intentional decision?
The word connect was uttered 21 times.
Yes, right. Well, there's more forms of that too to use,
Intentional was not uttered once.
Intentional.
I think Reusse cleaned it up.
I get all credit for that. I'll take all credit for that because the intentional decisions were flying at the starting with Mark.
Not to use that term.
Yes, they intentionally. These guys, there's not going to be a lot of spontaneity. Everything is going to be planned. And you know what's amazing, though? You come there, you have that facility, you got the thing downtown, there's no excuses. There's no excuses except if you screw up your personnel acquisitions, right? I mean, I went. They got everything you need. It ain't Winter Park, baby.
That's what I think. Long way from Eden Prairie.
Yeah, the only people that they really didn't give a damn about when they built this place was where is the media going to be? They didn't really. We're going to put you way over there in this corner with a little tiny interview room, and and everything else is going to be going on someplace else in the complex. So, and that's fine, but. It is an amazing. That field house is incredible. You can punt in there.
Yeah.
You can punt in there.
Anymore.
That was Bud's observation. He looked up and said, look at all that money they wasted just so they could, look at all that space they wasted just so they could punt. Because the roof is like, higher than the Metrodome, it seems. So, not the Metrodome, the new dome. So.
But you're in.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I was not. I guess I'm beaten down and defeated, and I just realized that I as I said, I don't think it was as and he didn't. Now we were probably going to hear about it because I know he's involved in a charity. He was involved in a charity out in L.A., but I was happy that we didn't have to hear about the service that we're going to give service to the community and all that crap. But
it should just kind of go without saying, right? We're
my
a
theory
multi-billion-dollar franchise, and we're going to give back to the community. All right.
My theory is that if you go visit the kids in the hospital, you don't have to tell me about it. I'm going to be very proud of you, but you don't have to tell me about it.
Give back a Super Bowl. That's what we want. I don't care if your players never go out.
I don't. I want to die, whatever that is, without the Vikings ever having won a Super Bowl.
I think it's
no.
You and I want a Super Bowl.
I don't want a Super Bowl because it's us. Pat. It's our tradition. It's our go to one.
Well,
yeah, sure, go to
something.
one. Yeah, Yeah, as long as they lose, I let them go to the Super Bowl. But the Super Bowl championship, I think that's something that we should embrace.
Cubs,
to Pat's point,
the Red Sox and the Cubs both screwed up their.
Don't you think like the Cubs? It was a great week of celebration.
It was fantastic.
But don't you think like there's some Cubs fans that say a little piece of my identity is now gone, right?
That's true. They won. It was a great part. It was a great time. Guys going out and watching the games at the cemetery with their dad with the little TV and drinking. And then that lasts for a week or 10 days, and then it's over. And then the next time now you're mad when they don't win it, right? Now you're mad when they don't win it.
But Pat, I want to say, what would happen to this town if this team won a Super Bowl? That's what I want to see. That's what I'm curious about. The Twins was fun. The Vikings would be 10 times bigger.
Well, it wouldn't be 10 times bigger.
Well, 5 times bigger. It'd be bigger.
Yeah, I mean, the city. Oh, yeah, it would be bigger. But, it would be, it would take away much of our identity. So, but you know what? It's one of the great transitions in Twin Cities Sportsdom, Minnesota Sportsdom, is the Viking fans have gone from fatalists to optimists. And I think it's probably all the NFL marketing, too, with the draft. You always did wonderful in the draft. And, when they were going to Super Bowls and losing Super Bowls, the draft was, one day thing. And, they got this guy. And but it wasn't it wasn't the marketing scheme that it is now. And that's part of the reason, the 98, we all go back to 98 is when the optimism started, even though which is incredible that's when the optimism started, because it was ended with the worst loss in franchise history, right? Yeah, the worst loss ever. But all of us from the 70s are fatalists. You'd be in another state on vacation, and you'd say you were from Minnesota, and they start laughing at you about the losing 4 Super Bowls, into the 90s. And now we have all these optimists, and, look back at the way we treat quarterbacks, right? I mean, we got this guy with all these faults who has this hardcore group of morons who want to declare him to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And there's no way the crowd from the 70s, we didn't treat Fran this well, for God's sakes. We get mad at Fran. And it's a new, optimistic crowd, and it's kind of interesting. It's interesting. But
I think we can celebrate.
If they'd be too happy if they won a Super Bowl. Go back to a Super Bowl. One for the thumb, I say. Let's go. Come on, one for the thumb. But
over 5.
But we don't want to have our reputation, our part of our identity taken away by actually winning one. That would be.
Oh, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
It is. But hey, you go for it. I think it'll be interesting. And it's the verbiage is going to get a little overwhelming. Yes, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't think he's going to run down the sidelines between the first and second quarter and the third and fourth, though, is he? He's not going to be there.
No, does he have any acronyms? Is there any acronyms?
No.
I didn't hear any yesterday, but I don't see him the same. No, I see him as. I mean, I think their philosophy is pretty well the same, don't you? Their philosophy of.
Well, they're team and relationship builders.
Connecting, but the way they approach it, at least publicly, I think is going to be somewhat different. So,
all right. Well, we got to get to collaborating on Purple Daily here. So, Pat, we're gonna say have a good weekend, and
you guys heading over to the golf show.
That's right.
Did you see the historic clubhouse at Oakland Hills in Detroit burned to the ground? I've been there. I covered 2 events there, U.S. Open and a Ryder Cup, I believe. And it was quite an old place. It's amazing. So
they just redid the course too recently.
Yes,
right?
They did. Well, they redid it once before and tried to turn it into this beast that nobody wanted to play. The same guy that designed Hazeltine originally, Robert Trent Jones, the old man, also redesigned Oakland Hills. That's when everybody wanted these big, brawny golf courses rather than more of a, tricked up little shorter shots and stuff like that. So they've gone back to more of what it was before they redid it in the 60s, I think. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad. And so we'll be out doing just a couple special little Mackie and Judd episodes on this Friday if people are listening, and then Saturday around like 1:30. So come heckle us.
Well, no, a few guys know more about the experience of playing golf than Judd, so you're good there.
Hold on a second. Wait, Pat.
Let's play it.
You know what? In fact, you know what I've got now? Just added this to my collection.
What's that?
Spieth. It's a Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth. Well,
With the golf club.
does it when you put it in there? Does he miss a putt and go? Does he miss a putt and act like he's gonna wants to die?
I didn't bring on this doll for you guys to mock me or him. Okay.
Pat. Okay. I think Judd's next golf bobblehead should be a Phil Mickelson Saudi tour.
Yes,
bobblehead.
right. Who is surprised to discover that gambling fiend is the number one guy behind the Saudi tour? So.
It's amazing. All right, Pat. We'll see you next week.
Yeah,
All right, it's Reusse here, Mackey and Judd, and the SKOR North YouTube channel.